Hey guys, this is Tiffany with the Nerdettes, and I know, I'm a slacker. I've been watching anime, like I've been watching Black Clover. I've been watching so many things, and I haven't been watching Star Trek Discovery. But I'm watching it again. I just watched Season 1, Episode 11, The Wolf Inside, and I'm going to talk about it. Obviously, my friends are like, what are you doing? It's amazing. And it really, it has gotten, already it's been such an amazing show, and it keeps getting better. It was sad as I'm starting to compare it with other shows I'm watching, like Walking Dead. Boo. Like, a lot of it, like I've said before, the stuff with Jeffrey Dean Morgan's great, but the rest of it, meh. But yeah, so Star Trek Discovery, I'm really excited to start watching it again, and I promise I'm going to get caught up. I really am. I'm going to power through it. Probably every night this week I'm going to try to watch an episode, record a review, and catch up steadily. So, because obviously I want to, review the finale. I want to have everything reviewed before Westworld Season 2 starts, because I've watched all of Westworld Season 1 already, and I want to experience Season 2 and so many other shows as well, like the Game of Thrones coming back. So anyway, here we are again, back with The Wolf Inside, and it goes back to Lieutenant Stamets, who is still kind of out of it, obviously, talking about forests and trees and holding the dead doctor, which I'm very sad. I really loved Dr. Culver, and to see him, kind of not be around anymore is sad, But, anyways, so we go back to Michael Burnham, and all of a sudden, she's in her quarters, and, she's just woken up, and who should walk in but Saru? And Saru is a slave in this world, and my heart, man, it really went out to his character in this alternate universe, because in the normal universe he's a captain, now, or well, he's, I guess, the number one to Lorca, technically speaking, but he's so, he's a higher position, and here he's a slave, and he actually, she asks his name because he's there to give her, I guess, her breakfast, and to be to bathe her, and to be her, almost like her handman, not handmaiden, but I don't even know what you would call that for a man, but her, I guess, her, I don't know, not even a butler, just But anyway, so he's there, and he's a slave has no name, because she asks his name, and you can see her warring with this kind of relationship, because she's so used to holding him in such high regard. So anyway, basically she has to go watch these people that were part of the crew of the Shinjo get killed. Anyone with thoughts against her, or against her as a captain, get sentenced to death, essentially, and she gets to watch them get beamed out into outer space and die ultimately. So yeah, that I can't even imagine what that's like for her, because obviously in her head she already has this death count from the Shinjo in real life, or well, in the alternate, or the real reality, however you want to call it. So I can't even imagine how she's going to handle this one, add that to her death count, I guess. I don't know. How does one handle that? But anyways, so Captain Tilly, transmits in and tries to tell her, keep, focus, don't lose sight of your mission, don't lose hope, obviously you've got people, counting on you, and, all that. So trying to kind of give her that pep talk, but yeah, so it's still very difficult for her. But anyway, so the real Saru transmits in from, the Discovery, and talks to her about like the mission, and as a side thing, asks her if she's encountered any Kelvians like him, because they are so rare in the original universe. And what's interesting is, I don't understand why, or her mindset. Maybe I do, but maybe I don't. I don't know. But she says no. Like, she doesn't tell him that she encountered his alternate version of himself. She doesn't acknowledge that in any way. I guess maybe because she doesn't want him to know what his, I guess, position is in this other world. But she says no. She lies to him. So, but yeah, obviously the crew, like Saru and Tilly, they don't want to tell her about Dr. Culver's death. They don't want to distract her from her mission. But, obviously they're having to, deal with this. And she ultimately, Captain Tilly, decides that she wants to treat Stamets. Like, she feels like something about his condition is something to do with spores. And obviously with her interaction with him and working with him in engineering and stuff, she feels like she has the most expertise to treat him and make him better. So, anyways, Michael Burnham finds out that they have this location of the Firewolf, the Klingon leader of Resistance, and that his location, the base, has been found. It's located on Harlak, and her orders are to kill all of them from the Emperor. So she tells the crew that she's going to form a raiding party of sorts to go, like, do recon and get intel and then subsequently kill them. She decides to talk to Lorca, and he obviously, I don't even know what to think about Jason Isaacs' character in this show, because I really want to know, again, more about his past, where he came from, how he himself became a captain. Like, I want to know so much more about him as a character. But obviously, like, in this world, he's being tortured. And one of my friends brought up an interesting theory, and I think I have to agree. I think, and this is just an interesting theory, what if this Lorca is from the one that has been captaining the Discovery, and all of his seemingly rich knowledge of these alternate spaces, and that the fact that the Defiant came through on this reality, what if he himself is from this alternate universe? How crazy would that be? So, anyways, I'm starting to really kind of wonder, because his darker characteristics, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, so he goes into this, I guess, dialogue with her about how sometimes the ends justify the terrible means, and how she really needs to I guess, kill people, and these people that that she's going to meet, these Klingons and Vulcans and all these other races, and that have joined together in this resistance. And she's just like, no, obviously this electrocution or whatever they're doing to Lorca has messed with and addled his brain even more than it was. And he's speaking from almost like this state of not being himself, or I don't even know what it could be considered. I hate it for him, who, no matter what universe he's from, I really hate seeing him like this. But who knows what's going to happen with that. Like, I'm hoping he turns out okay. I like his character, so but yeah, so Tilly basically decides, she's like, I think I can restore Stamets' neural function by giving him spores. And so she starts to do that. He seems fine, and then all of a sudden he flatlines, and we'll get to what happens after that. But at this point, they basically assume, like, they try to do that, put the electrical, oh gosh, what is it called? That machine that they're like clear, and to bring them back, and it doesn't work, or doesn't seem to work. But anyways, so Michael essentially follows Lorca's advice and decides to go with only Ash Tyler down to hopefully talk with these people, this resistance. And so they beam down to this planet Harlack, and immediately, like, they're being fired upon, like these giant, almost like rockets, like, or almost like grenade launcher. I don't even know what it would be called, but like they're blowing up all around them, like, and they're coming from Klingons and Vulcans and all these different races. So Michael and Tyler end up relinquishing their guns, and they ask for an audience with the Firewolf. So they go to the space. It's got like this amazing active camouflage, and who should be the Firewolf but Volk? Volk, the Klingon that we saw after oh my gosh, D'Kuvma was killed. Volk was deemed the leader in the reality that they're from, but here he is Volk, son of none, and he is his own person. So anyways, but he ends up like talking with her. She's like, look, I don't mean you or the people any harm. I want to basically, she tells them that the Emperor has located their base. She wants their people to transport to safety, and in return for this kind of like understanding of peace, she wants some sort of an intel. And so he really obviously knows her this universe's Burnham, her butcher persona, and doesn't believe her. So he summons the Prophet, who, oh my goodness, this part for me, oh wow, a lot of feels here, is none other than the Vulcan Sarek, her mentor, her almost like her father-like figure, that has been with her since she was a small child, and it's his alternate reality self, and he's here, like, obviously he's passed away in her world, so this is very, very much a shock for her to see him. And so they summon him. He's their prophet, and he's, he mind melds with her, and my mind to your mind in the Vulcan way, and sees her, reality from her universe, where they have this link, this connection, and he sees their history together, and he's like, this is impossible, this cannot be. So it's very interesting for him to see this. I'm not really sure what he thinks about it, being so logical as the Vulcans are, but he seems to handle it quite well. And basically deems, obviously, as he tells Volk and the others, she does not mean them harm, and she truly does come in peace. And but yeah, so her question for Volk is, how has he gotten these races, Vulcan and Klingon, and all these races to come together and like band together in this resistance? And he doesn't really answer her. He basically is like the teachings from Gaelish and all this other stuff. Like, he's going off on this kind of rant about being his teachings from being Klingon, and all these Klingon mindset reminders are like obviously trigger points for Ash Tyler, who is having these flashes to back when he was brainwashed, or whatever you want to call it. Like his DNA and all of his self was manipulated into being Vulcan, and so, which is interesting, and we'll talk about what we find out here in a bit. But so he like trips out, he goes crazy, and starts speaking in Klingon, and basically says to Volk, "Remain Klingon or die," in Klingon, and like goes after him, is like trying to like slice at him, going crazy, and like they subdue him. And like in a manner, and they're almost ready to kill them at this point, because they believe that she's somehow has this plan to make him like kill them all. And obviously Sarek is able to say, no, that's not the plan here. She does come in peace. I don't know about his intentions, but hers are pure. She doesn't want anything but what she says that she wants. So obviously it's very hard for her to see this side of him. Like, she's seen it before, but never to this extent, for sure. So anyways, they basically calm down. They give her the locations of the rebel stations as proof that her mission was successful for recon knowledge and all this stuff. She goes back and beams back on board, and with this intel, yay. And she's like, okay, get the torpedoes ready, or what, fire the ready the torpedoes for launch or whatever at my command. So now Tilly is using her knowledge of astral mycology to work on Stamets. It seems to be working. Like, it's doing well. He's recovering, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it stops. Like, he flatlines. We talked about this. Like, he completely flatlines. And luckily, we see him later come back online. But he's not like physically there, but he's alive. And we see him in like the spore forest, and he sees himself and talks to himself. I mean, obviously he has this greater, faceted knowledge of, dimensions and universes. So maybe, I don't know if he's actually talking to his old self, or maybe another version of himself, or maybe himself from this world, perhaps. I don't know. We'll see. So anyways, Burnham confronts Tyler in her chamber, and like is confronting him about what's going on. And Tyler finally admits he feels something for the female, white Klingon. I think Arel is her name. Excuse me. Arel, I think, is her name. But anyways, he admits he feels something for her, like emotionally, like there's a bond that they have. And then he says that he admits that he infiltrated her and her ship and the crew on purpose, and that it was all an intent to basically mess everything up. And then we find out that he himself, like the DNA that he received, was actually from Volk. And that's why it was, I guess he reacted so strongly to seeing himself in a sense, because they took Volk's parts, his DNA, like what made him Klingon, and infused it somehow into Ash Tyler's DNA, into his being, to turn him into the Klingon Volk. So he is the torchbearer, apparently, which, I mean, he goes crazy and says that, he admits he killed Dr. Culver. He admits, like, all this stuff, and basically, ultimately says, you killed him. You killed my lord, Takuvma. And she's like, your lord? Like, this is not you. You're not you're not Volk, you're Ash Tyler. Like, come back to me, you know, trying to communicate with him. And he goes crazy and tries to kill her. And luckily, Saru shows up, which obviously at this point she actually has named him Saru and says that it's in honor of her dear friend. So he saves her from Tyler killing her, and yeah, I mean, and she ultimately has to go with the I guess the laws of this universe to sentence him to death. And so she does. She sentences him to death. She pushes the button herself, launches him into space, but obviously she's communicated this with the Discovery. They beam him on board the Discovery from mid-space and put him in the brig to wait a tribunal. And so yeah, and then she orders Lorca to come to her chamber. And, you know, she basically wants to, I guess, I don't know what she's going to do with Lorca, I guess. Like what her plan is. Beats me. But essentially, while all this is going on, you know, Tyler gets beamed on board the Discovery. He, in his like pocket, his side pocket, he has that info on the Defiant. So for Saru and for Tilly to decode and to learn this information, so hopefully they can get back to their reality, to their universe. So, and in the midst of all this stuff, all of a sudden they detect a presence in outer space. Like right as she gets Lorca into her chamber to talk to him about like everything that's happened to excuse me, I'm about to sneeze, to Ash Tyler, and all this information about what's happened. Right as she's about to talk to him about everything, they detect some sort of a signature from another ship coming in, and all of a sudden they're readying their firepower to fire on Harlack, and they fire on it, and she's freaking out because obviously the people have not had time that she's tried to give them to, you know, evacuate. But this other ship comes in and just starts blasting away at this planet, and the Emperor beams on board the Shinjo, and who should be the Emperor but our own dearly beloved Philippa Georgiou. And of course, like, you can see the shock and the guilt, the everything, all these emotions that Michael felt, you know, from Georgiou dying in her universe. What are you doing, Dachshund? But yeah, you see all that, all of those emotions like come very face front here as she gets held accountable by her as the Emperor. And it's crazy because like she's like, why do I have to clean up your mess? And like her alternate world self is a little scary, I gotta tell you. It's like you know, Tilly is Captain Killy, you know. It's like, it's kind of scary. I mean, and obviously as we saw in the kind of preview for the next episode, she's gonna really hold it to Michael and hold her accountable. And wow, I mean, this show already, like, I'm sad I like left it for so long. I just got on so many other shows and so many other tangents. Like I've been watching, I did a hardcore binge of The Path with Aaron Paul, and I'm fully caught up. I did a binge of Black Mirror. Obviously I'm caught up. Just so many other shows, leaving this kind of like on the back burner. I've been watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I've been watching all these other shows. And now I'm coming back to it going, what the hell was I doing? Like, why did I not keep watching it? I just had so much stuff going on. So it feels so good to kind of come back to this with a fresh set of eyes almost. Because now I just love it even more. Like, it's crazy, like, when you leave a show that you already like and you come back to it, like, a little while later, like, this appreciation you kind of have for it. And like, I don't know, there's just, I really love this show so much. Like, I highly, highly recommend it. If you are, even if you're like one of the, like a Trekkie or a Trekker, whatever your preferred, you know, word is. I mean, if you've kind of avoided it because of, you know, whether the depiction of the Klingons or whatever it is, I mean, I really highly recommend this show regardless. It is an amazing show. It really makes me also miss the Orville. I really can't wait for the Orville to come back. But anyway, I just, wow, I can't say enough about this show. It's so good. It really is. Like, it has its own sense of just the way they do the story, the way that they do, like, the various plot twists. It's really exquisite, and I mean, I really, really recommend it. So check it out if you haven't already, and let me know what you think. If you are watching it or have watched it or thinking of watching it, whatever, let me know what you think. Yeah, we thank you for watching. Thank you very much for being awesome and watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/thenerdettes. And thank you again for watching. Really appreciate you guys so much. Be awesome. Stay excellent to each other. And we'll see you later. Bye, guys.